Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Suzerain, Kingdom of Rizia, where last episode we had an interesting moment with Duchess Azaro. We'll see where that will lead, and I hope to never have to. I've. This is gonna. I hate the fucking gold guy. I forget. Rusty, was it? I'm gonna call him Goldfinger. Fuck him. Let us go on to next turn. And this time I am going to remember not to actually spend my money until the end of the turn. Okay, and apparently we've finished with chapter 1. Okay, anything new? Don't spend the money. Don't spend the money. Don't spend the money. Well, free press, 3 authority. That is a lot of authority. Okay, let's leave it for the end of the turn, like I said. Mining survey yields no results. That is not great. Large gold deposits discovered. Awesome. No results. Large gold deposits discovered. Cool. No results. Okay, so large gold deposits and large gold deposits. Do I have any? Two budget, plus 1 energy. I mean, this honestly, the sooner we get this, the better. But again, wait until the end of the turn. Okay, react to protesters. Concerns over lack of access to higher quality education and healthcare services. Yeah, offer assurances. Okay, how much is that going to cost me? Should be here in welfare, right? Apparently not. It's definitely not going to be in trade. Construction, okay. Yeah, but that's what we already saw. Fine. Still, why are you still fuck? Never mind. Welfare. Increase health and education funding. 3 budget. -2 budget per turn. Not great. And why did our income just drop? Huh. Don't like the fact that our income just dropped. But yeah, definitely want this, but the -2 budget per turn really fucking hurts. Can we do any trade? Gets two budget for 1 authority. I don't want to lose the air fleet. Okay, hey, crowd slowly started to dissipate. Okay, that dam cannot get constructed soon enough. Okay, council meeting. Let's go. I had called a council meeting in Fort Alice to discuss our strategy in the Palais gas dispute. The city was named after its most famous building in Valgish Fortress, a Valgish fortress that now served as the government headquarters for the Palais Administrative District. Titus escorted me down the hallway to a nondescript conference room where Lorento, Lucida, Elena, and Hugo were already waiting. My daughter had requested to stay home this time around, claiming she was feeling unwell. Huh. Would that have anything to do with the things that have been on the news recently? uh, I took a seat across from Lucida. My fellow counselors were all poring over various documents. Hugo finally stood up. Good morning, Your Majesty. Should we fill you in on the situation so far? Yes, please. I'll take it from here. As you know, our joint team of researchers recently completed their assessment of the gas fields between Palais and Rizia, tentatively named Aureus. The Rizian surveyors determined that the field lay in both Rizian and Palaisian territory. However, a few days after our teams returned to port, we received the news that the Palaisians had made a different decision. Duke Reinhardt is now under the impression that the entire gas field belongs to Palais. He has ordered that exploratory drilling begin immediately. And for fuck's sake. Lucida had a worried look on her face. A Palaisian drill ship departed the port of Remaz at 0800 this morning. It is expected to reach the field by this time tomorrow. Your Majesty, I have advocated for caution regarding Palais in the past, but this strikes me as highly concerning. No, this is way too. We should keep it professional during meetings. I shared this concerns, Duchess. The Palaisians were out of line to send that ship. In response from Rizia is certainly warranted. A response from Rizia is certainly warranted. I call this meeting today to decide on our course of action. We have a meeting set with Duke Reinhardt in 2 days, by which time the ship will have reached its destination. It is my hope that the Palaisians are still open to negotiating the film's ownership, and that this is just a tactic to give them an edge. You're getting ahead of yourselves, Lorenzo. The king should be as informed about this dispute as possible before heading to Palais. You're right as usual, Miss Werner. I want to know everything I can about the disputed field. Then where should we start, Your Majesty? And why is this dispute? I thought our maritime borders were clear. They've been shifting for the past century. The late Empire of Valgos used to control the waters between Palais and Kalekubis, but the area came into question when the island joined Rizia in 1855. Since then, both Rizia and Palais have variously claimed ownership of these waters and of the resources therein. The borders that Rizia recognizes today are the ones defined by the 1942 AN Directive on offshore resources. According to those, the field should be split almost exactly evenly between our two nations. Ah, yes, Andor. A nation has the sovereign right to any undersea gas and oil fields located within 200 kilometers of its coast. And in case of overlap, no one country may exploit those resources without the other's agreement. Okay, are both Palais and Rizia signatories to this directive? Rizia has both signed and ratified Andor. Reinhardt's predecessors signed the directive, but the Duke has yet to ratify it. The Palaisians furthermore state that a sparsely populated island, Kalekubis, should not have the same maritime radius as mainland Rizia. That's not how things work. Ask China. There's a reason they're building airfields out of nothing. That's fair enough. Nope. That's nonsense, right? It wouldn't hold up in an international court. That's debatable, Your Majesty. With enough legal firepower and international support, Palais could have a case. Yes, Rizia does need the gas. We know how much gas the field contains. We still don't have exact numbers, but the surveyors have confirmed that it is a lot. Quite possibly more than the current natural gas reserves of Rizia and Palais combined. That is a lot. In other words, whichever country controls the Aureus field will become Mercopa's next energy superpower. Okay, that's enough information. I'm ready to discuss our response. Very well. The suitor raised a hand. What troubles me is the specter of Lesbia. If Palais claims the field, I'm almost certain that our northern neighbors will end up with the rights to it. They could be a presence in our waters for years to come. It isn't necessarily bad for us. Maybe a compromise can be found that involves all three of our countries. Okay, what happens if Morel and their Valkslandian friends get involved? They won't be happy with an ATO member drilling so far south. And that could lead to the kind of consequences I was warning you about earlier, Your Majesty. Loretto had a pained expression on his face. I still don't think we should give up on the possibility of negotiation. You established a rapport with Duke Reinhardt prior to your coronation. Perhaps there is a way to build on that. I want to. Right, if we meet in person, I'm sure I'll be able to get him to back down. I'm sure of it as well. Shall we discuss our diplomatic options? Are you leaning towards any particular outcome? Can't we split the field 50-50 with Palais? That's what we have a legal claim to, isn't it? Yes, that was the outcome I was hoping for before this incident. But it seems that without the aid of a third party, sharing the field will be more difficult than expected. I mean, Rumberg has expressed an interest. Do you mean asking the Alliance of NATO to arbitrate the dispute? Correct, Your Majesty, and arbitration is the typical path for disputes like this. Unfortunately, arbitration is an expensive and time-consuming process, and there is no guarantee it would end in our favor. With that said, it's definitely the safest way to avoid a diplomatic incident. We have Rumberg on our side. I'm sure Queen Beatrice would support us through the arbitration process. The weight of grace versus that of Lesbia and ATO, we would be evenly matched. I would welcome any other suggestions from my counselors. Who will clear this road? If I may, Your Majesty, we still have not decided what to do about the Pallasian drill ship. We could send a ship to shadow it, a navy ship to shadow it, not be aggressive, but just follow it along. Just let them know we're there. Okay. I don't like the idea of it being present in the gas field during our negotiations, but I don't see a way to stop it. I do, Your Majesty, but my family counselors won't like it. She spoke slowly, as if thinking out loud. With His Majesty's blessing, the Rizian Navy could surround the field, preventing the drill ship from reaching its destination. Yeah, that's a bit much. I would like to send send a destroyer, like a tiny little destroyer, just to let them know that we are watching. Nothing aggressive. Just a tiny destroyer pointed at them. Lorenzo looked up in outrage. Are you in your right mind, young lady? The Navy would be escalating the situation. Young lady, I know you come from... Yeah, I knew you come from a different generation, Mr. Escobel, but that address was completely out of line. Excuse me, Your Majesty, but only the impetuousness of youth could be behind such a rash response. Actually, my elderly friend, Duchess Azaro, may have the right idea. Lorenzo looked at her indignantly. Of course, we shouldn't fire on their ship, just a blockade would keep the gas field clear until you had a chance to speak with Duke Reinhardt. If we end up in the arbitration talks, Palais, having an established presence in the Aureus field, would give them an unwarranted edge. Until the risk of escalation is too high, it doesn't seem worth it. Precisely, Your Majesty. I too am wary of miring ourselves in another conflict. Yes, sending the navy would help assert Rizian sovereignty, but we are strong enough to defend ourselves should the Pelagians call our bluff. Are we strong enough to defend ourselves? That is a concern, Your Grace. We have a capable navy, but we won't be able to outgun Palais if it comes down to that. This is not a decision to take lightly. I should exercise caution. I will meet with Duke Reinhardt before deciding our next steps. Lorenzo nodded, relieved. Very good, Your Majesty. I'll get everything in order for your meeting. I don't want to get into a war with Palais. We're probably going to end up in a war with Rizia, with Velen. And that's going to be a pain enough in the ass. Our naval forces will be on standby in case you change your mind. I pray to Saint Ruhek that they will not be needed. There was a moment's silence. I'll adjourn the meeting so Mr. Escobar can begin his preparations. We'll keep you abreast of any changes prior to your departure for Palais. Like, sending a ship or two? Sure. Just not to blockade or do anything, just to make our presence known. Blockading the field is a bit too much. Fully expect a peaceful resolution. No, I hope there are no more unpleasant surprises. We'll see to it that there aren't. The meeting drew to a close. I spent sleepless nights in Fort Alais, wondering what would happen when the ship from Palais got to its destination. This should be fun. Community sheltering BFF. Velen restricts access to Zilla region. Fuck's sake. Do not like this. Do not like this at all. Okay, Confederacy of Vendosian request support in uprising. Sure. I'm not sure I like this, but let's get them financial aid and hope that actually benefits us in the long run. Okay, expand Fort Alais naval base, strengthen Palace border fortifications. Okay, I would like more ships. That would be nice. But first, wait, what's on the news? Asia secures Pyrrhic victory in South China conflict. Let's meet with Palais. It was my first visit to Palais since becoming King of Rizia. Titus and I stood side by side, peering out on the window of Castle Reinhardt. The Grand Duchy's royal residence was built on the foundations of an ancient Palaiaco, one of the stone fortifications that gave Palais its name, Palais. After his coronation, Duke Axel Reinhardt had hired an up-and-coming local architect to expand the old building into a swooping building, bulging wood and grass structure that seemed almost alive. The reception room had been moved to the top floor and boasted enormous curved windows with a view of the Palais skyline. Its soaring angular skyscrapes were unlike anything built in Rizia. So this is the Pearl of the Antecedent. You sound unimpressed, Captain. I'm a simple man, sir. Give me the classicism of Palaz Resna over whatever this is. Where are you from, Titus? Born and raised in Port Trazon. My father was killed during the operation to take back Palais. I took up championship boxing to support my family. So much senseless bloodshed may never happen again. For what it's worth, sir, he believed in the cause. He never turned against King Valera. A panel in the wall slid open and a secretary clad in pastel mini dress emerged. She motioned for me to enter. Into the breach. Good luck, sir. The secretary announced my entrance. I stepped into the room and was greeted by Duke Reinhardt. The Palladian ruler hadn't aged a day since we last met. He was tall, square-jawed, with looks out of an adventure serial. I recalled that the tabloids had nicknamed him Duke Dashing. He maintained eye contact as he bowed to me. Your Majesty, we meet again. Convinced? Yes, I only wish it was under better circumstances, Your Grace. As do I. The secretary left, closing the door behind. Since you are the one causing the unpleasantness. Closing the door behind her, the Duke and I took seats on opposite sides of a wooden conference table. His posture was casual, even as he regarded me with intensity. I'll be honest with you, Your Majesty, I never expected my brother to abdicate. I was perfectly happy living a life of leisure, coasting off the family fortune, enjoying the odd celebrity rendezvous. Wait, which celebrities? No, yeah, you didn't have to take his place. And who would have stepped in my stead? Who was left to protect Palais? He looked me in the eye. I know that our expedition may have seemed like an act of aggression, but all we are doing is claiming what is rightfully ours. I'll recognize your claim on the field, but you must recognize Rizia's rights to it as well. You can't truly think that the field's proximity to Kolakabi's gives you a right to it. I don't make the rules. Our claim is clearly valid according to the Alliance of Nations Directive on Offshore Resources. You are ignoring Andor's nuances. It gives much more room for ambiguity than other laws of its kind. His expression turned more serious. Your Majesty, I urge you to let this go. There are more powerful interests at play than either of us. That's precisely why I will not let this go. Western superpowers have no place meddling in Southern Mercopan affairs. I wouldn't call him meddling, it's exactly. He sighed. Yes, Palais was part of the Valgos Empire, but we developed our own laws and customs, even our own language. When the Empire fell apart, what were we supposed to do? Simply give up everything we had built? It probably could have kept its cultural identity intact if it had rejoined Rizia. Your father would never have accepted that. But I would. Even if it had, my family would have never agreed. They had too much pride. So they accepted help from Lesbia, the only country willing to support our independence. They supported your independence by making you dependent on them. You know how wealthy we are, it wasn't entirely a one-way street. Now that Lesbia is a NATO member, they won't want to be connected to a monarchy for long. They'll have thrown the first chance they get. He leaned forward and lowered his voice. I know that, I'm not a fool. Interesting. But in the meantime, Lesbia needs our gas, and they are promising us a son that we can hardly refuse. Unless... I'm listening. He spoke his next words very deliberately. I could envision a future where Palais severs its ties with Lesbia in favor of a partnership with Rizia. I would be open to such a future. But as my late cousin Ivar learned the hard way on holiday in the Montes Islands, one doesn't jump out of a plane without a parachute. Do you understand what I'm saying, Your Majesty? How big of a parachute are we talking about? He blinked in surprise. I didn't think you'd come to the table so quickly, but great. It was always my family's policy not to discuss money out loud, so... The Grindard grabbed the nearest piece of paper and scribbled a number on it. This would buy you the full exploration rights to the Aureus field, as we were preparing to grant Lesbia. Cede the field to us and pay what we're asking, and Rizia will have all the energy it could ever ask for. Took a look at the number he had written down. An upfront fee, an annual extraction rights payment, and in exchange a stable annual energy supply from the gas field. It was way more than our treasury could afford. Ah, shit. Can't I just buy the rights to part of the field? This is an all or nothing deal, I'm afraid. Frankly, I thought Rizia could easily afford it. Sorry to disappoint you. Then what do you suggest, Your Majesty? Ah, fuck. See no other choice but arbitration. The Alliance of Nations will decide ownership. Duke Reinhardt frowned. If there's truly no other choice, then I will gladly agree to enter arbitration, but it's not quite the outcome I was hoping for. I mean, do we want +1 authority? Huh. Yeah, just send the Navy. We can't trust him. Matter of fact, I'm sending naval reinforcements to prevent Palais from further invading the field during the arbitration process. His nostrils flared. That's really not the outcome I was hoping for. Sorry, but your willingness to double-cross Lesbia shows you cannot be trusted. Yeah. It was an attempt at reconciliation, a futile one. He reached under his desk and pressed an intercom button. Hilda, be it all and help show His Majesty the way out of the building. Wouldn't want him getting lost. He sat back in his chair and scrutinized me closely. I hope you understand that if your navy enters the field before the AN has decided its ownership, I will be obligated to send our own fleet to join yours. Don't do anything too rash. Nobody wants escalation. Unbelievable. Duke Reinhardt's secretary opened the door. He stood up and gestured for me to do the same. Until next time, King Romus. I rejoined Titus in the reception room. He followed Hilda through winding corridors to the front door. We stepped outside into the waning sunlight. He waited until we were out of the building's shadow to speak. How did it go, Your Majesty? The Duke is a snake, but I can still get the upper hand on him. Titus nodded wordlessly. We got into the car and began a long trip back to Port Drazon. It should be interesting. Okay. Yes, we will attend. Uh, Anything else? Promise for financial aid. Let's get medium range missiles. That's not good. Call with Prime Minister Alvarez. This should be interesting. Been weeks since my meeting with Duke Reinhardt in Palais. The Alliance of Nations had accepted our request to arbitrate ownership of the Arias gas field. Preliminary hearings were to begin soon. And in the meantime, lesbian Prime Minister Patricio Alvarez had contacted Lorento asking to speak with me. I was spending the week at my palace in Monqui. Lorento visited to brief me ahead of the phone call. He stopped in front of my desk and bowed. Good afternoon, Your Majesty. Won't know if it's good afternoon or not until I found out what Lesbia wants from me. Right you are. Forgive the inappropriate greeting. What questions did you have about Mr. Alvarez? How trustworthy? I heard he's an alcoholic. I know for a fact he's an alcoholic. Rare is the world leader who doesn't enjoy a little drink on the job, or a big one. But no, Alvarez has apparently acknowledged his problem and entered the rehabilitation program. He's as sober as an archpriestess for now. That's not gonna last long. Why do you think he's calling? Well, he can't be happy about that, and AN arbitration is delaying Lespia's access to the Aureus gas field. His country's energy demands have skyrocketed since joining ATO. I've heard rumors of massive new infrastructure investments, naturally involving the Prime Minister's own construction company, Alvarez Industries. My father ever talk about him? Ever talk to him? No, His Majesty Valero died mere months after Alvarez won the 1949 election. He must have sent his obligatory congratulations in private, though. He referred to the young man as the Viper in a diaper. How trustworthy is he? Considering the only reason he entered politics was to avoid going to jail, no charge has successfully been leveled against him. But in my opinion, he can only be trusted to protect his own best interests. That'll be all. I'm ready for the phone call. Very good, Your Majesty. I'll meet you afterwards for a debriefing. An assistant brought in the blue telephone that was used for calls with the heads of state. But said phone call will have to be left for next episode. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I have been Pope. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next time.